Hi, my name is Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to talk a little bit about how I was able to teach my daughter to read.
Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes. Crying sometimes, they hugged us for hours.
I have 3 girls and my eldest is only 5 years old. Now when she had just turned 4, she was able to read simple books by herself. Now I only talk about this because when my husband had brought up the thought of homeschooling, 2 things used to intimidate me. The fact that I had never heard of homeschooling before, but also the thought of teaching her to read or not being able to teach her to read used to really intimidate me. So just in case there's anyone out there that might be having a similar feeling, or you need a little bit of encouragement, I'm hoping that this can do that and it can also be useful. So move on from there. So the first thing I used to do, now this was actually before we started to talk about homeschooling. When she was 6 months old and she would be sitting down by her high chair eating her little meal, what I used to do, I used to use these flashcards. Now I got this set. You can use any flashcards of your choice, obviously, but I got this set, I want to say, from Walmart, and they are pretty firm flashcards, and they have the letters to the front and an animal behind. And while she was eating, most time not really paying attention because she was a baby, I would say big A, little a, alligator, alligator. And I used to go through the entire alphabet with her at one meal sitting. I did this from 6 months to about a year. Then I started to introduce the vowels to her, and I used the leapfrog. All the books fell. I apologize. So then I started to use the leapfrog vowel books. Okay, so say for instance I was reading the short vowel E book to her. I would emphasize the short vowel E in that sentence. So egg has a pet. Meg has a pet. And that's how we would read these books, really slowly, emphasizing whether it's a short vowel or the long vowel, and over, and that's how we accomplished learning the vowels. We also did letter blends. So I used this one by Mead, Phonics Flashcards, right, for kindergarten, from K to grade 2. And in the beginning, I used to focus on the beginning blends with her. And I like this one because it came with this little card that have the beginning blends and ending blends and so forth. And how we used to do this one, we used to play a little game, a little hopping game. And I would spread 6 or 8 cards really spaced out on the ground. And her little sister used to play with her at the time. And it started off where I would say the sound and she would repeat. And then after a while, she started to be able to say most of them. So like one side of the card has like the letter blend, an example, and an example in picture and word, and then behind has 3 examples with the letter blend to the top. So what we would do, she will hop to it, or they will hop to it, and I will say squ, and she would repeat, and then I would say squirrel, she would repeat, squirt, she would repeat, squeeze, she would repeat, and then they will hop to the other letter blend. I would say brr, she will repeat, brown, bracelet, bright. Every time she will repeat after me, and they used to have quite a bit of fun doing these. Then I started to introduce more phonics to her. We used, now I got a lot of printouts from Pinterest, and as I said, I'll put Pinterest and Google, and I'll put the links below. I used this Vowel Teams master sheet, I also taught controlling R's. I got this master sheet from Google. And for silent E, I got this from All About Learning Press. Now, with the silent E has 7 jobs. However, in the beginning, I just focus on silent E makes the vowel say its name, and silent E can make C and G soft, right? And for all of these silent E, controlling R's, and vowel teams, I used Pinterest worksheets, workbooks that I got from the Dollar Tree. I even got a few from the thrift store, YouTube videos, and that's how we practice those. Now, I have the YouTube channels that I used for each set, and I would link them below. I then introduced some sight words. Now you can make your own sight words flashcards. However, I was gifted this set. I would try and find out who they were by. I think it's Crayola, but I would try and find out who they were by, and I would link it below. It had a yellow pre-printed set and then a blank green set, and I did some words on the green ones, like words that I know that they would be using, some sight words, some common words for them, and then these were sight words. Now I had gotten 2 of these. I were gifted 2 of these, and but the other one, what I did is that at our last home, I had stuck all of them on a glass mirror door that they had. Now the reason why I did that is so that she could have seen these words over and over, even when we weren't actually practicing reading or sight words or what forth. And what happened is that after a while, she was actually attempting to say these words on her own. I would go through it with her at least once a week, you know, in addition to her hearing it, whether it's on YouTube or through us speaking or me reading books. She would hear it, but it was always there, and she started to attempt reading it herself. So that's that. Writing and reading. We did a lot of writing and a lot of reading. And with writing, I chose to go with various types of surfaces for her to write on to keep her interested. I had gotten a cheap chalkboard from a thrift store. I have blank manuscript sheets that I got from the Dollar Tree. I have manuscript practice sheets. This is from the Dollar Tree as well. I have a lot of workbooks that I got from the Dollar Tree. I don't have them here, but I have a lot of workbooks that I got from the Dollar Tree. I showed them in our homeschool room tour video. I have this dry erase board from the Dollar Tree as well. And then I have this dry erase practice board. I got this off of Amazon though. So just different surfaces. You don't have to buy exactly these, but that's what I did to keep writing interesting for her, right? Reading. Now we did a lot of reading, and you always hear people talk about the importance of reading to children, and it is so true. Now, because I have 3 very young kids, it was not very conducive for me to carry them to the library all the time, because one, they could not stay quiet enough, you know, and you don't want to disrupt other people. So what I did is that I started to collect books, and I went to the thrift store, I went to the Dollar Tree. I would say, suggest if people are talking about, oh, what do the kids want, because when you have little kids, grandparents or whatever, they always want to buy toys and stuff. I would suggest, they would get a nice book, when we go to the doctor's office, for the doctor's office that we go to, they give kids books up to a certain age, and over time we've collected quite a bit of books. And that's what we used to do. When she was much younger, I used to read in a more regimented form every night I used to read 3 to 4 books, a Bible book and a Dr. Seuss book, and then they were able to pick a book each, right? Or sometimes if the little one wasn't interested, I would just let her pick a book. And that's how we would just read and read and read. And the good thing about reading is that I was able to point out a lot of the things that we were learning from practice sheets and YouTube in books. For example, if we're reading and we see the word have, then I'll be like, don't you notice that you don't hear the sound or the e sound? That's because that's a silent e, right? Or if we come across, like bar, I would show, do you hear that controlling R, And that's how we would, kind of like bring these lessons to life, right? So just to go through again, I'm just looking at my little pointer card here. So just to go through again, the resources that I use: YouTube, Pinterest. I also use ABC Mouse and Starfall. I mentioned that in my homeschool room tour video. I got a cheap tablet off of Amazon, and in addition to other practice stuff, they also use that for reading, because it reads books and stuff for them. And yeah, Leapfrog. When they were little, very, very little, all of them, I used to play a lot of the Leapfrog videos. I love Leapfrog videos because they get to always hit like the letter sounds. There's a lot of practice. It's for numbers and stuff too, but I love Leapfrog. I think it's excellent for teaching kids, like letter sounds and the letters, and like a starting point, right? And all I want to say after that is practice, 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 right? Now, I just want to mention that if you wanted like a list of like YouTube videos for different subjects, like whether it's math or phonics or teaching science for little kids, or for like preschool and kindergarten, I have a long detailed list of every single YouTube channel that we use on my blog, if you would like to check that out, right? Two last things I want to mention. Now, in addition to as I move forward with my other 2 daughters, there's just 2 things that I would be inserting. Of course, building upon all the additional rules of phonics, but there's 2 things that I would be adding. Now, these 2 I only got a hold of after my daughter was able to read. Now, this book I mentioned in my last video, and I said I kind of taught it to read because I am using this a little differently. Now, excuse me, how I'm using this book, I'm using this like a teacher's manual, if you would. And I actually picked up a few things in here that I was able to incorporate with her while we're reading, and if I'm correcting her. Like, this book emphasizes like how to say, like when you're practicing like a letter sound, how you should pitch it, how you should cut it short or what for, so that they get the proper pronunciation of the letter. So as I said, I'm going to be using this more so as a teacher's manual for my other 2, and any little thing that I miss with my eldest, this will come in handy. And this book here is from back home where I'm from, and it has a first primer and second primer. It also have book 1 and 2 and so forth, but I'll be using the first primer, and I'm getting a hold of the second primer. Now, what this is basically this book in an easier, these 2 books are like this book in an easier, simpler format for the kids. So I'm actually working through this one with my 3-year-old at the moment, and to show one of the pages, see here, like forming 3-letter words. And what we would do, we would sound out like the vowel sounds. B, a, t, bat. B, a, g, bag. B, e, d, bed. And this book also has very, very small little directions to the top that actually instructs you as the parent or teacher of how to practice these little exercises with the kids, and then closer to the back, you build upon like sight words, and the sight words would be the ones that are underlined, and sentences and whatnot. And after you finish your first primer, you move on to the second primer. I grew up on these books. They are very excellent, and I was so happy to be able to get a hold of it. So I will be incorporating this as I move forward with my other two. The last two more things. So about 3 weeks ago, I got a hold of 220 adult words by grade in alphabetical order, and I was so happy to find this because I was like, okay, this is a good gauge for me to see where she actually is with her reading and word recognition and stuff. And to my surprise, there was only 2 words that she was unable to smoothly say on this list, and that is found on the 2nd grade and laugh on the 3rd grade. Found and laugh. So I was pleasantly surprised. So this is going to also come in handy as the other kids get, they get into that stage. And finally, in public, when she even the young one, when they're in public, your environment is also able to teach you. You're able to use the environment to help you teach them to read. What do I mean by that? When we go to the doctor's office, excuse me, when we go to the grocery store, the other day we went to the mall, and any little sign that she sees, she would stop and want to read it. And at first, I had to be honest, I used to be like, okay, let's go. Or I used to be, a little embarrassed depending on where it was. But now, if she wants to read it, I stop with her and I read it. Because now I'm like, you know what, it's for her. We might come across a new word that we haven't seen before, and that would be opportunity for her. For example, we went to the mall and she wanted to read the little rule sign. It was quite a bit, to how we should play in the structure. And we were able to find, I think, about 3 words in there, 2 or 3 words in there that she didn't no longer words, that she couldn't sound out. And, that was a teaching moment. So even the environment you're able to use. So if they show interest, like we'll be driving in the car and she see, my husband and I, we get surprised all the time. We driving on the road and she's shouting out enterprise and this, and I'm like, even me to this point sometimes, excuse me, I'm surprised of how much she's actually grasping. So I'll stop there. I'm hoping that you are able to get something from this that will make you feel a little bit more confident. If it is you have any doubts in teaching your little one to read, it can be done. It sounds more intimidating than it really is, and now I can say that I know that. At first, I wouldn't have said that. I was scared. Okay? So I am so glad that you joined me today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.